Thanks very much, Kay, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, as John's mentioned, today's really about sharing a future vision for how we take tourism forward over the next 10 years of the forest. And just to put that into context, I'm going to take a look back over those first 25 years and just see what we've achieved. Because together, we have literally created a new visitor destination, and that is pretty amazing. It's transformed the landscape, it's transformed the economy, and it's transformed people's lives across 200 square miles of the Midlands. So in short, the forest is achieving what it set out to do in the early 1990s, and that's just something that we should all be really proud of. So, first of all, we're actually linking the two remnants of ancient forests of Needwood and Charnwood. So, Needwood on the Staffordshire side, Charnwood on the Leicestershire side. The map you can see at the bottom corner there shows how little woodland there was. There was a bit at either end, as sort of two posh bookends, but in the middle, quite devoid of woodland, and that was where there was the big swathe of mineral activity from the Trent Valley across into the coalfield. But these slides show that woodland cover has now grown from 6% when we started in 1991, and it's more than trebled to 20%. 8 million trees and still counting there. And the aim is to eventually reach around a third woodland cover. And the South Derbyshire and Leicestershire coalfield, which really separated those two ancient forests, that has literally gone from black to green. And this shows the Coalfield North open cast site. Some of you might not be able to read some of the dates and captions right at the back, but I'll try to work my way around those. 1995, that shot on the left. That's now the Sents Valley Forest Park, which is now 60 hectares, a wonderful site of woodlands, meadows, wetlands and trails. And the scale of achievement across the tourism sector has been really impressive in a relatively short space of time. Just a few facts and figures. We've got around 440 woodlands now that are over 2 hectares in size. If you work in acres, it's about 5 acres. We've now got 270 miles of trails and cycleways. 55 new visitor attractions have been created. Accommodation, that's grown significantly. We've now got 159 establishments, and those range from campsites to new hotels. More about those later. There's also a growing number of events and festivals. We've had major investment in visitor signage and information points. We've also got a growing network of local food and drink suppliers, and one of those is represented with the bottles of water on the table here, the National Forest Spring Water Company. I know you're here somewhere, Dave. And that's really adding to the distinctive sense of place about the destination, which is really important for us. So in total, around £180 million has been invested by ourselves and through regeneration funding, but that's aside from tens of millions that the private sector will also have invested. So, now I'd like to give you a snapshot of how that rich variety has just come together. And at this point, I'll have to say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to name-check all the great things that have happened, but rest assured, all your contributions, they're really important to us. So first of all, our woodlands. These slides show how our young woodlands, they're now really starting to mature in the landscape and provide some true forest experiences. So 25 years on, those trees are really getting away. The Woodland Trust Willersley Wood, which is the top left here, that was planted in 1994. Planting started at Rosliston Forestry Centre in 1993, and Grangewood started in 1998. And the bottom right slide there of Beacon Hill Country Park, increasingly our young woods are now connecting up with more mature woodlands in those two ancient forest areas. So we literally are sort of spanning the whole forest. More importantly for visitors, 80% of those new woods have got some form of public access, whether that's for walkers, horse riders, disabled people, or cyclists. And we've also created an extensive network of trails and cycleways, and these link key woodlands, visitor attractions, accommodation. They link to our towns and villages and to our visitor attractions. And our flagship trail is this, the 75-mile National Forest Way. That runs from Beacon Hill Country Park on the east side to the National Memorial Arboretum on the west side. That opened in 2015. And this links, I think you can just pick up the mustardy coloured trails. This links with 16 other promoted walks. These range in size from about 3 miles to 13 miles. So they help to create a series of circular walks in the forest. And we've also created over 63 miles of new cycleways as well. And that's working in partnership with Sustrans, local authorities, the Forestry Commission and National Forest Charitable Trust. So our woodlands and trails, they're important because they provide the background infrastructure for visitors, and we're still adding to these each year. But they're also providing the setting for a rich variety of other attractions and accommodation and events right across the forest area. And it's these I'd like to turn to next. So first of all, visitor attractions. We've got a wide range of visitor attractions. We've got forest and farm-based attractions, forest-related and farm-based attractions. These have developed really as a result of the forest in the last 25 years. And we've got another mix of attractions which have developed their own niche in the area, some of which were here before the forest started. So what have been some of the main milestones over these first 25 years? Well, in 1993, Rosliston Forestry Centre was born. South Derbyshire District Council and the Forestry Commission had the vision to buy a rather run-down farm, which is at top left here, with funding from ourselves and Toyota. And Rosliston now has been transformed into a major attraction with trails, cycle routes and places for archery, fishing and wildlife watching. 6 forest lodges have also been built for overnight staying visitors. And Rosliston now gets 190,000 visitors a year. And like many of our attractions, it's a great place for local residents as well as for visitors. And the District Council and Forestry Commission are currently developing a new business plan for the centre, again looking ahead for its next 10 years. Not long after Rosliston, the first tree planting got underway at the National Memorial Arboretum, and this was in 1996. And as many of you will know, this is the site of national remembrance for all those killed in military and civil service. It was the idea of the late Group Captain Leonard Cheshire and has been taken forward by the Royal British Legion. In 2016, a fantastic new visitor centre opened, that you can see top right here, and that was supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund, Staffs County Council and the British Legion. And the Arboretum now gets 350,000 visitors a year, and it's a great place for reflection amongst its many memorials. I love that one of the bear in the bottom right-hand corner. Another massive transformation has been the former Rawdon Colliery site into the Conkers Discovery Centre. Now, 25 years ago, you can see on the left here, deep mine workings, dereliction and hardly a tree in sight. But development of Conkers, that started in 1999, and fast forward to today and it gets 200,000 visitors a year, and 3 million in total since it opened. In 2015, it opened a new high and low ropes attraction, and there are plans in place for a 4D cinema. Chris was telling me, I think that's due to open very shortly. Good Friday, Chris, about that time, and a treetop walkway. And it's also interesting that in this central area of the forest, woodland cover has increased from 1% to around 30%. So that's close to our target for the forest area as a whole. That's completely unrecognisable from that shot in 1991. And more recently, the National Forest Cycle Centre has been developed by the Forestry Commission, and that's been in partnership with ourselves and with funding from the former East Midlands Development Agency. This is a £2 million investment built on the Hicks Lodge open cast site, which you can see to the left here. And that little woodland did survive. It's still there now, growing. And the centre opened in 2011, and it's been specially designed for family and disabled cycling with 10 miles of trails across a 60-hectare site. There's also been a great transformation in farm-based forest attractions, and many private landowners have used our woodland creation grants to help diversify their business and provide a setting for leisure and tourism activity. These include Beehive Farm at the top here, where Alistair Chapman has planted around 30 hectares of his land holding and created new 3 fishing lakes, outdoor events area and a caravan and campsite. And tree planting started here in 1997. We're now into the phase where those trees are starting to be thinned, so a really productive phase for the forest. The National Forest Adventure Farm, that's on the bottom left here, where Tom Robinson has developed a family-based farm attraction, and the family planted a 27-hectare woodland in 2002. The Catton Estate, where Robin Nielsen has done extensive woodland planting. This links with a lot of mature planting on the estate, and this is a setting for a wide range of events and festivals which Catton run. And Catto's Farm, not got a photo for this one, but the Ludland family have used new woodland to provide a setting for a successful farm shop, a cafe, pick your own, and outdoor event space. So some pretty enterprising stuff there, starting with the trees, but the trees actually providing the trigger for wider diversification activity. And in more recent years, new leisure businesses have set up in the forest with activities that are starting to make the most of the maturing woodlands. This is absolutely fantastic. These include bushcraft, woodland survival skills, field sports and woodland crafts. And all these are providing hands-on experiences directly linked to the forest, so really making the most of what we're putting in the ground. So that gives a flavour for some of the forest-related types of business ventures, but we shouldn't forget that other attractions have also been developed, and the forest is about much more than just trees. So the top two slides here show the Ashby Canal. Now in 1995, again, this was another completely derelict place. It's now been re-watered up to the forest boundary, and around 3 kilometres have been restored for boating and canoeing linked to the Conkers Visitor Centre. And there are plans to link the canal back into the National Canal Network. There's the A42, M42 in the way, but that doesn't usually stop the canal enthusiasts. It'll come in time. And the top right slide here shows the Moira Canal Festival. So again, a big sea change that's happened there. Keeping with the canal theme, Barton Marina, bottom left here, that opened in 2001. And this links directly to the Trent and Mersey Canal, and it provides a major mooring area for 300 boats. But on site, there's also restaurants, cafes, shops, and an on-site cinema. And the canal towpath also links in with the Forest Trails network. So what better way to arrive in the forest to visit it by canal boat? And in 2015, the National Trust bought Stonywell in Charnwood. This is a wonderful, quirky house designed by Ernest Jimson of the Arts and Crafts movement. This includes 3 hectares of ancient woodland next to the house, which is the National Trust are now opening up for visitors. And this links strongly with our theme of opening up new access for the forest for visitors. And finally, it's important to remember that all this new activity actually blends with a whole range of different attractions, many of which were here before the forest started. And some of the more prominent ones include where we are today, top left, National Trust Cork Abbey, Moira Furnace, owned by North West Leicestershire District Council, Bradgate Park, managed by the Bradgate Park Trust, and the Ferrers Centre for Arts and Crafts. But there are many others, including Severn Trent Reservoirs, Sharp's Pottery in Swadlincote, and the National Brewery Centre in Burton-upon-Trent. And alongside the growth in attractions, the forest is increasingly being used now for festivals and events. And these have included the National Forest Walking Festival, which we've run for several years with South Derbyshire District Council. This promotes over 90 guided walks in May each year. The National Forest Wood Fair, which we've run for many years with Leicestershire County Council, and we're currently looking at the potential to develop this into a forest-wide festival. And running events, lots of sports events now take place in the forest. The National Forest 10K Run has been a fixture, park run, and increasingly there's challenge events along the National Forest Way. And the forest also hosts a range of music festivals, food and drink events, and sports activities such as orienteering and carriage driving championships. At Catton Hall, they had the International Carriage Driving Championships not so long back. Now, complementing all that growth in attractions, there's also been major investment in visitor accommodation. Since 2003, that's the point when we started our annual monitoring, there's been a 63% increase in bed spaces, and now around 5,000 in total across the forest. And the number of establishments has grown from 101 to 159. And that growth has been particularly strong in the non-service sector, where the number of establishments has grown from 26 to 97, quite an achievement. And whilst there's been a little bit of a drop-off in some of the smaller serviced accommodation, there's still been a 15% growth in bed spaces in that sector as well. So accommodation is really important to us because we want to increase the number of overnight stays. I know that will be a theme of the growth plan as we move forward, because it's important that we try to attract more higher spending visitors. And currently 7% of our 7.8 million visitors are overnight stays. But for an area that had little history of accommodation and people staying over to visit the place 25 years ago, the range of accommodation investment has been really impressive. And in the non-service sector, we've got forest lodges, such as those at Rosliston, top left, just as a workaround clockwise, farm cottages at Upper Rectory Farm, caravan and campsites, such as the caravan site at Ingalls Farm, and glamping at Dandelion Hideaway. And this site at Dandelion Hideaways is the only glamping site in the country to win Visit England's Excellence Award 3 years running, which is absolutely a fantastic achievement. And in the service sector, our range includes bed and breakfast, such as the Old Band Room at Coton in the Elms, the National Forest Youth Hostel, which offers both serviced and non-serviced accommodation. There's new hotels, such as the Hilton at St George's Park in Needwood, and refurbished hotels, such as the Best Western Premier U Lodge at Kegworth. And I think that's a really good mix of fantastic new designs, but also characterful old buildings. And finally, I mentioned about signage. We got a lot of stick about signage in the early days, because wherever there was trees, there was never a sign, and where there was a sign, there was no trees, but all that's changed now. And this is really important to us because it's important for visitors to be able to find their way around the forest and also to find out more about it. And over the years, about £1.5 million has been invested in this, with road signs, interpretation signs at key sites and trails, and information points at visitor hubs. And we'll need to keep investing in this because you've got to update the older infrastructure and also add new signage where we need it. So that's a whistle-stop tour largely in pictures to what we've achieved. Just to summarise that impact in some facts and figures. We've now got 7.84 million visitors coming to the forest, which is a 16% increase since 2003. Tourism's worth £376 million to the local economy, and that's an 18% increase. And it now supports 4,700 jobs, which is a 19% increase since 2003. So pretty impressive figures. So just to summarise all that, well, the forest has come a long way in a relatively short space of time, and much of that success is due to your hard work, and I'd like to thank you for all your support. John's already mentioned the 3 district councils, but I'd just like to again have a special mention of thanks to the North West Leicestershire, South Derbyshire and East Staffs Borough Councils, because they've supported the forest marketing campaign all the way through since 2003. Collectively, we're stronger together, and this is really important when it comes to marketing and development of the forest brand, and you'll hear more about that from John and Richard in a minute. But the job is far from complete, and our tourism growth plan, which Michelle's going to tell you more about, that sets out the vision for how we can build on all this success and grow the destination over the next 10 years. So we, the National Forest Company, will continue to invest in the forest and we'll lead the next phase. But we know this is going to need continued investment, partnership working and commitment from all of you as well. So nationally, we're now recognised as an emerging destination, and the goal for the next 10 years is to see the forest fully recognised as an established destination. Working together, we can definitely get there. Thank you very much.